Guys, I know I haven't gone live in a little bit. I know I dropped a bomb of a announcement yesterday. I know I said I'm writing a book and I'm launching it. So that's actually what I was working on right before I just jumped on here, and then I looked at the time and it said at 3:30 I was going to go live. So here I am. Um so I think probably what I think most people want to know is, why write a book? Well, I mean, let's first of all, I didn't even want to write a book. I didn't. Honestly, I actually mentioned within it that I thought, books were for people that were 40 years old, married, and have kids, or are about to go through a midlife crisis. That's what I literally felt like. No offense. But what I found was that the book was in me the entire time because the book took about 12 days to actually write. So, for anybody considering writing a book, this is my recommendation. Voice dictate the entire thing. Like, buy yourself a microphone or use a MacBook, whatever, and write your book by voice dictating it on a Google Doc or in Microsoft Word, and just have like AI edit it, because 95% of what's in the book is my own original thought. And the way I would say it, the way that I would think it, in my thinking patterns, and it is edited by AI. All of it is. Okay, so I'm not gonna say like I'm very anti AI. I'm anti selling your information to AI. I'm very anti outsourcing your thinking to AI. I am for editing with AI. I am anti being AI retarded. That's what I'm against. So, okay, so I've thoroughly endorsed you using AI responsibly and using it to edit. That's my opinion on that. I'm not going to discuss it any more than that. Um, so yeah, so I mean, as a young entrepreneur, I felt like there was a time like this that needed to the market needed a young voice to be able to talk about what's going on, not from a standpoint of me being in a corporate structure, but me also being in a reality of like, I actually do fucking care about your guys' kids. I care about whether get employed, regardless of whether or not I'm an entrepreneur. I give a shit about satisfaction and overall life quality. Okay. And it's going down the toilet. And there's a multiple reasons I list in the book, but I think I think one thing I really touch upon in the book is a fear. I touch a lot about fear. I talk about, you know, where your kids are really struggling. They're struggling with purpose, they're struggling with the economy, they're struggling being able to afford things. And I think that your guys' fucking silence is probably the reason why we're all struggling right now. And it's not all your guys' fault, though. I do talk about the Matrix. I think there's an entire system designed to I think there was an entire system designed to lower your consciousness to a degree that um most people don't even understand. An entire fucking well done psyop. And I think right now is the time that people are starting to question, like, why is it that I believe in whatever I believe in? And I think that I think we're at a time right now that, this book is absolutely needed. Um, so first of all, it's not your fault that you all think like the way you do, or you think that you need to be an X level of professionalism, because professionalism actually in reality is all bullshit. Okay, sorry to say that, but it is. Okay, you can go fucking sleep with your secretary, but you're gonna give me a lesson on morality? Please get fucking lost, because I'm not gonna listen to you. Okay? We need to redefine what actual professionalism is, because you bombing a country just based off of a hunch that someone might have a nuclear missile is not professional at all. You're just fucking slaughtering fucking people's lives. So the book goes into professionalism, corporate structures, golden handcuffs, um, it goes on to morality, AI, ethical usage, everything in between inside the matrix. So I think for me, I got to a point in life in my young career where I said, why the fuck is no one talking about this? Why is everyone so afraid to call it like they see it? Why is everyone hesitating to speak their minds? When in reality, the First Amendment of the US Constitution protects my right to say whatever the fuck I feel like. Okay? And you know what it is? You've allowed somebody, matrix, parents, educational system, religious institutions, to dictate your life for you. I have not done that. I talk a lot about my own struggles with education actually within the book. Um, because actually I did have an IEP in school. I was in speech therapy. I went to um outside tutoring outside of school. My parents paid thousands of dollars for um professional tutoring for me when I was a child. So when I look at what's going on right now, it's like you guys literally have the fucking power to do whatever it is that you want. And guess what? Most of the times right now, if you just say the thing that you're actually thinking, like you're gonna be just fine. Like no one's gonna care. Everyone actually that's exactly what everybody wants actually, contrary to popular belief. I think a lot of people are desperate for someone that um wants to be able to tell the truth in the way that they want to express their own truth in their version of it, which there's only one by the way. And I'll just say right now, the version of the truth that you're holding on to is the inherent self-worth and value that you give yourself. Not anyone can dictate that for you. I go into detail about that topic. Look, society that before me is collapsing, and just seems to fucking care about what's going on, or let alone actually address what the fuck actually is going on. Okay, we have a generation who's constantly getting laid off at the hands of AI. We see massive AI layoffs everywhere, and there's no remorse. And people's human value are being dictated by dickheads. Okay, and I'm not sorry that I said that, but that's absolutely true. Since when the fuck are you a god? When are you when have you become God? Because last time I checked, he's not here on the face of the planet. He's in the sky, right? He's in heaven, but you're not God. You do not have the right to dictate someone's human value at all, or someone's self-worth to them. I don't know at what fucking point that we all thought that this was totally fine, but this is not okay. And I'm glad I made a book like this. I'm glad that I honestly called out a lot of the fucking problems that were on my head, and you know what? I think that's probably why it took me 12 days to write something like this, and now editing it. Because when you have something real to say and you're trying to wake somebody up, or you're trying to make a world a better place for people to reside in, to thrive in, you'll always get things done like this. No hidden agenda, no fucking this, no that, just straight fire, straight game from somebody who's been through the fucking ringer, been through the fire, came out the other side, and is like, hey, we have a problem, and you know what? I'm not gonna stand by and say, yep, you know what? I'm just gonna pass it down to the next generation like the other assholes did and let them figure it out because you know what? That's not their fucking problem. The reason why a lot of Gen Z doesn't want to listen to Gen X, millennials, and boomers is because of the fact that you all fucking created a problem that you're not willing to solve. Sorry. You created problems for the younger generation that we have to clean up your fucking mess and we're sick of it already. We just got here. Most of you, honestly, don't even know how to stand up for yourself when someone is fucking disrespecting you. I've noticed it everywhere. I'm not kidding about this. It's so sad for me to sit here at 26 years old and be like, why the fuck are you tolerating somebody telling you that you can't say what you want to say or you can't live on your most authentic selves? Like, I don't know who you've been listening to, but let me tell you something. If they're not paying your fucking bills, then they really should not get a say anymore. Because when we realize that everyone is just as flawed as we all are, and we should probably shut our mouths if we have nothing nice to say, the world would actually be a better fucking place. And I'm not just talking about no, that everything has to be sunshine, rainbows, and puppy dogs falling out of the fucking sky. That's not what I'm saying. Okay, the truth hurts sometimes. But what I did in the book is I basically said, I'm gonna hold a mirror right up to your fucking face, and you can go look back at yourself. And then you can see all the flaws before you come at me or you come at somebody else. That's what I did in the book, to be honest. That's why it's probably taking such a short time for me to get this done. I also am not going with a fucking publisher either. It's self-published. Because I refuse to give out my ideology, or I refuse to let anybody change the actual verbiage and or weight of emotional intelligence in this book. That are calling out societal problems and calling out people's bullshit that people have been avoiding for fucking eons. And I'm not sorry about this. If you want to sit there and you want to say, oh, well, what the hell does she know? You don't have to read the book. That I can promise you. The book is probably going to be listed right around $20 to $25. Something like that on Amazon. Premium product, yeah. But I hope someone of the younger generation does buy this and does know their fucking worth after this. That they can achieve and do whatever it is that they want to do in life and be successful on their own merits, because there is more opportunity right now to be successful than let's just some asshole tell you you're fucking worth and replace you with an AI robot, which is what you're allowing, by the way. And you should be ashamed of yourself if you're a fucking parent and not say a damn thing about this. You have an obligation to ensure the livelihood and the thriving society for your children to grow up in. And you've remained silent as a fucking parent. That's sad to me. I don't know who stole your balls, but you actually might want to go back to the merchant and actually go get a refund for that shit. Say, hey, Mr. Seller, I want my balls back, please. You know what's funny? I find that a lot of older adults tell us to grow the fuck up when we're the ones telling you how to act. Don't come down on the younger generation because you lost your sense of authority long before you became an adult. Are there things that my generation does wrong? 1000 fucking percent. But I can also argue that most of the older generations don't know even who the fuck they are unless they have a midlife crisis and buy a Corvette C8. That or they got two mistresses on the side that they broke their fucking vows to their wife and children. Most times, 9 times out of 10, it is a man who decides to go out of his marriage and go cheat. You're not going to give one-sided worldviews and distort the truth and the reality of the situation when it doesn't fit your fucking narrative, dude. That I will not allow. I'm a realist. I see everything from all sides and all perspectives before I even decide to open my mouth. And I've been like that for a very long time. I absorb information first and then discern whether that information is true, do my own parenthetical research about it, and then I make my opinion, like a grown adult. See, here's the problem with modern day society is that you'll believe anything that gets told to you. I go into modern day education that you're shoved a version of reality that doesn't necessarily fit the narrative in which you are actually thriving in. A lot of you are entrepreneurs that follow me. Let me ask you a question. If you were presented another option in school, would you have taken it? Probably yes, because working for someone is like cancer, in my personal opinion, but that's just my opinion. That's not a fact. Okay? I know that. But here's what we're not doing. We're not showing the reality of what's possible. We're only showing one side of the truth, one version of reality for these young kids to follow. And we wonder why they have a fucking withering sense of the world and a withering worldview. Because you know what? They're swimming in debt, depressed, and lonely because parents didn't fucking teach them how to have real conversations. You know what? That's fucking hilarious, and I go into this on at length too in the book. I actually say within the book that I'm like, you know what? Social media only exacerbated what already existed in human society. Lack of emotional intelligence, lack of communication, lack of critical thinking skills, and you wonder why your kids are so addicted to their fucking phones. I actually state, not that I'm better than you, but my parents didn't allow me to have my cell phone at the fucking table because that is the best thing they ever did. Despite all their issues, the best thing they ever did is say, your fucking cell phone is not allowed at the table. You're gonna have converse with us like adults. That's why I can fucking have diverse conversations with just about everybody because I've learned how to communicate. I've learned how to talk. Did I have to really work on my level of communication when it comes to emotional relevance as an adult? Yes, because I wasn't shown that. But as far as talking about politics, policy, business, critical thinking, yeah, I was taught that. And that's what's missing. And guess what? The society that we are currently living in is not teaching critical thinking because of the fact that it threatens the narrative of the Matrix. Because when a society is well equipped on critical thinking skills, we all know that's how a society really does collapse. As far as the Matrix is concerned, their fucking system is already revealed when we start thinking critically. See, ladies and gentlemen, this is where you've gotten it all wrong. You actually have the power to break the fucking system within yourselves. And that's what I really tried to explain. When you stop outsourcing your information and sense of the worldview to everyone else other than yourself, that's when the system collapses. Because you are no longer dependent on someone else's worldview. You are now depending on their own your own worldview, and then your opinion based off your worldview is formulated by your own worldview. Do I think that this is the only book that I will ever write? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. After this one, I'm not writing one for a long time. At length, because the next one I already know it has to be about my story. I spent a lot of time trying to get this ready for all of you as fast as I humanly could. Because this book has never been more important than we are right now as a society. Your kid's worth is not tied to a fucking robot, that I can promise you. And honestly, if you guys actually start exploring half the potential opportunities for young kids right now, I think you would probably argue that college is not worth shit anymore, especially a $200,000 price tag that they will pay 8% interest on their fucking loans for the rest of their lives. That's just my opinion. I think unfortunately we've I think we create a society that's so scared to question the narrative of what actually is true and what's not because everyone told us that we were crazy for actually trying. The only person that you fail is your fucking self when you realize that you're just outsourcing shit to everyone else. I want everybody to thrive on in the world, but I don't want anybody to tell some young kid that they can't do it because of the fact that you're mediocre and pathetic. And you yourself can't don't think that you can do it. You're not gonna do that to anybody anymore. I'm done. I've absolutely had I've absolutely had it when it comes to people trying to dictate someone's worth when you may not even know yours. It concerns me because a lot of people want to argue that, hey, it's totally fine to tell someone they're fucking trash when in reality, maybe you're the one who's fucking trash. How dare anybody tell anyone that they are trash? How dare anybody let a fucking big tech CEO tell a fucking new graduate that they're not going to get a job and they're going to be replaced with fucking AI because they're invaluable? And most parents don't say a fucking thing about this. You should be ashamed of yourself if you're a parent. These are your kids' futures on the line. Your silence and complacency is the reason why we are in the position that we are in as a society. You understand that, right? So before you call someone fucking stupid or pathetic or mediocre, maybe take a fucking mirror and look back at yourselves. Because I'm not sorry saying this. I've absolutely had it with most of society right now. I am not going to let anybody anymore tell anyone that they're not worth it. And quite frankly, if you're falling subject to a system that I figured out in 2.5 years, maybe you're the one who's supposed to be looking at your own education levels and figuring out why you didn't catch on to the pattern. Because most of you have been under a fucking spell for 50 fucking years and you guys couldn't figure it out. Don't blame me. Blame the system that you never questioned. Blame the fact that you had no courage. And I will tell you this. We are getting to a point where society needs strong leaders. And I'm going to ask you something very fervently, and I'm going to actually ask you a real question. Are you going to be someone that someone looks up to in the next 10 years from now and say, I actually made a difference? Because if we have a lot of weak people claiming that they're fucking leaders and when they're Indians. Some people this time around need to take a seat and let the people lead that are supposed to be leading. Do I think I'm one of those people? Maybe, maybe not. I'm just simply the young kid who was brave enough to call out all the bullshit that I saw. Ironically enough, if I caught a fucking pattern that you didn't, maybe, just maybe, you should look around and be like, is this true what she's saying or is this not true? In the book, I actually write in the prologue that you should be able to challenge me because that's how we make society better. But what you're not going to do is you're not going to sit here and say, oh, well, her worldview is wrong and my worldview is the only one that's right because that's called a dictatorship, by the way. In which we've all seen how that story just magically collapses. Dictatorship And fascism is terrible. Unfortunately, while writing this, I challenged my worldview 10 times over because I was constantly writing from the perspective of what is actually valuable to people this time around. What are people going to enjoy? What are people going to get value out of? And honestly, the worldview that I have was made by years of rejection and being ostracized out of society for being too fucking real and too brave to say the thing that literally scares the shit out of people. But I'll promise you this. If and when you do decide to pick up this book, I want you to take this imaginary mirror that's in my hand right now and hold it back up at yourselves. And ask yourselves, am I being or am I doing exactly what I'm meant to be doing according to what serves my life's calling? Because if you don't, maybe it's time to have a nice sit down with yourself and ask why you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing or why you're not doing what you want to do. That is what the actual main thesis is about the book. Why are you accepting the bare fucking minimum for your life? Matrix has a part to do with it, of course, but not everything. So I will challenge you in this book. I'm very excited for this to come out. I hope you guys get a copy. It'll be available very soon, probably within the next, easily probably within the next 1.5, maybe 2 weeks from now. That will be um available, and I hope that you guys pick up yourselves a copy. It'll be listed as an ebook on Amazon. That's how I'm gonna publish it. Um and always feel free to send me a message if you guys want to talk to me. But I'll never stop fighting for people's independent and fair rights and equal rights because no amount of money